Welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. I'm Grant. Today I actually just received a batch 2 shipment from GMT Games off of the P500, and this is one that I had on my P500 probably for going on 3 years now. It is the second printing of 1989 Dawn of Freedom. This game is a card-driven, tug-of-war struggle type game, very similar to Twilight Struggle. In fact, it's made Ted Torgerson and Jason Matthews. If you know Jason Matthews, he's the one of the dynamic duo, Ananda Gupta and Jason Matthews, that gave us Twilight Struggle. And now recently we've played Imperial Struggle from the two of them and love that as well. But this game originally came out, I believe, in 2012. As I said, I've been trying to get a secondhand copy for the past couple of years just because we like card-driven games. I like GMT games. And a game on this topic, which is basically the fall of the communist and the end of the Cold War, in essence, in 1989 with the wall coming down. To me, that's a very fascinating topic, a very fascinating subject, one that I have enjoyed playing Twilight Struggle as well as other games. So I want to show you this one. I'm very excited about this. The first thing I want to talk to you about is the cover. The cover is a complete redesign. Doesn't really look anything like it did in its first edition. I really like it. To me, it's very striking. You've got two communist leaders here. Obviously, this is Stalin and this is Gorbachev. Very evocative cover. I like the colors. I like the split kind of diagonal line. To me, it's indicative of the wall and how it divided East and West Germany and was really the central focus point of the Cold War. So anyway, very, very good looking package. Very heavy box. It's one of their 2-inch boxes, but man, it's really nice. Sometimes the 2-inch boxes are a little more flimsy. This one is really thick and is going to stand up. Really nice, nice looking box there. Nice looking spine. Really like that logo and the colors. And then on the other side, you've got this version of it, which is a little different. Let's go ahead and look at the back of the box. Once again, it's a card-driven game. Here's kind of a look at the map. We'll get a look at that here in a moment. So it uses cards either for events that are written on them or operations points, and you're going to use those to take actions. The game boils down to a tug of war where you're fighting over control of these different areas and territories. Uses a lot of cool cards. Here's a look at some of the cards on the back, just to give you a feel for it's not really solitaire friendly. I think you can use Stuka Joe's card-driven game solitaire process to do it, I'm sure. The game, it's a 2-player game. It's probably best played that way just because of the tug of war style. Complexity's only a 4. My guess is it's really not higher than a 3, but haven't played it, so I don't know. So that's a look at the package. Let's go ahead and open it up. And I'm just very excited about this game. Been looking forward to this for a long, long time. You got a rule book and a playbook. First off, playbook is twice the thickness of the rule book. So let's go ahead and really quickly. The rule book is not glossy. It's paper, 16 pages. You've got the handy-dandy turn sequence, some of the scoring criteria, different rules for support checks, and then you have distribution of power struggle deck. It's going to help you set up that deck as you move forward. I mentioned the rules are 16 pages, but you can see the last page is an index, very handy-dandy because you can refer to any rule that you're interested in and try to figure out what that means. You've also got an optional rule and then some card clarifications. So it's really only about 13 and a half pages of rules. Fairly dense text, not a lot of examples, but what I do like about GMT's rule books, and I think you probably do too, they will put these boxes of highlighted text to give you an example, to give you examples of how it works, or even to help you understand, hey, this is a an important rule. But yeah, it's one of those card-driven struggle games. So there's a look at the rules. There's a bunch of counters. There's a look at the cards, kind of their anatomy. Hopefully we can get this one played very soon because, once again, I love these card-driven games. Let's go ahead and put the rule book over here. The playbook, looks like gives you about 10 pages worth of card notes. It does go through a sample play turn to help you understand. And then there's some history, the explanations for the collapse of communism, confrontation and cooperation from the West, lots of different articles or looking into different aspects. So a lot of this is going to be read it when you have time to understand better the conflict. And I've said this 1,000 times, as I know Alexander has. One of the reasons we love playing these historical war games and simulations is that you learn a lot of history. So there's an example of a sample turn and then kind of a board state. So you can walk through that. And then there's different notes on looks like almost all the cards. I think there's 110 cards, give or take. But, that's great information. You're going to learn a lot. And, that's why we play these games. I just said that. So that's the playbook. Kind of a nice, don't know that it's absolutely necessary, but it's a nice touch. Here are 2 player aids as a 2-player game. Each of you are going to have a player aid, which is really nice. It's going to give you a card manifest on the back so you can kind of understand what are the different cards that you're having to face and that you have available. And you can see they mention them even as a communist card or a democracy card. And the other thing that's important, if you know anything about Twilight Struggle, there are in Twilight Struggle, they're called early war cards. Here they're called early year cards because this is really focused on, I believe it's 1989, middle of the year, and then you've got late year cards. But here again is that, turn sequence, scoring terms that you found there on the back of the rule book, support checks, and then here's some talks about power struggle sequence, aftermath, die roll modifiers, etc. Tiananmen Square attempt. So yeah, really nice player aids. I'm sure they're very, very helpful. To me, one of the hallmarks of GMT games is they almost always have very nice player aids. There's only been a couple of games that I felt like they didn't have good ones, but those look very, very useful. 2 pages of counters. They are the pre-rounded style, which, I'm becoming more and more okay with that because I like to clip, but frankly, a lot of these games take an hour and a half to clip, sometimes 2 hours. I clipped SPQR and Cataphract over the quarantine, and man, it took me forever. But these are pre-rounded, so those are nice. They pop right out. Very well done. These look like they're intended to be that way. The fingers are very close to the edge, so I don't believe that's a mistake. These are kind of optional reminder markers, it says. So maybe if there's a certain effect in play, you're going to put those out to remind yourself. I like those kind of things because I'm forgetful, let's face it. And then you've got your administrative counters, your VP, your turn, different effects, action round, etc. Nice looking counters. You've got the hammer and sickle representing the communist, and then you've got the peace sign representing the democracy player. So very nice counters. Well done. Let's go ahead and move to the board. I'm going to give us a little bit of room, move some of this away so I can lay this board out. They put these boards in a bag. I just hold the bag and use it for some of my polybag games or magazine war games. Don't necessarily need it for the game board itself. Once they're out and broken in, it's not like you need to protect them from being weathered or worn. We're not barbarians or savages. Well, I'm not anyway. Alexander is, I think. He is English. There's a look at the bottom half of the board, and it's a very long board that sits straight up and down. So really quickly, you've got your victory point track here at the bottom, communist side, democracy side. This is your Tiananmen Square track. So that's going to move up and down depending on what happens, what cards are played. Here is that power struggle results table. If you remember on the back of the, here we go, on the back of that player aid, it kind of lists that. That's what that goes to. And then you can see the, the different regions. I read a great series of articles that really got me more interested in this one from Cleo's Board Games. He's a blogger. He wrote some really great articles on this, Twilight Struggle, Here I Stand, etc. He's an extremely good writer, and a lot of his content is very, very, very helpful. But I did read about that, and you can see there's a lot of symbols. Like this symbol here is a church symbol. That means that's a church space, and I know that there's something that has to do there, or certain cards. There's a legend up in the very top. I'm putting my arm in the screen. We'll look at that here in a moment. But you can see all these different territories have different symbols. The hammer, the sickle, the peace sign, the church. What other symbols? There's the crescent moon and star, which typically represents Islam. There's a star here. I'm not sure what that is. There's a car. So there's some different symbols. And you'll notice as we go up and down that board, it's all over. So let's pull the board down just a little bit. I don't know that I'm showing you anything new by showing you that part of the board. It's pretty much all the same, just different parts. And you can tell the different regions are different colored. You have the tan region up there. You have kind of a gray German Democratic Republic. There you have Poland. The green section in the middle is Czechoslovakia, the Socialist Republic. You have Hungary in the middle, kind of that orangey color. And then down here at this part of the map, let me move that back up rather than moving the camera. You have this color. I don't know what I'm going to call that. Maybe, it looks pink to me. That is Romania. And then the green on the bottom, which is a little lighter than the green for the Czech Republic, is Bulgaria. But you can see there's a turn record track at the very top. There is a legend on the side. There's a setup box, country scoring. So you can see which countries are going to score in which deck. That's very helpful. Once again, those things being out on the board help players. It's like a mnemonic device. You remind yourself, oh, that's going to happen here. It's like those counters that they said, optional reminder counters. Having those boxes on the board is kind of the same thing. It's going to remind you what you have to do, when it's going to score, what's going to happen. You have that USSR stability track, which is going to affect things. Once again, I've looked at the rules online. I don't know that I've read fully through the rules. But that's a look at the board. Very nice looking board. It's big. Man, it's big. Let's go ahead and look at, there's dice, there's baggies. I'm not going to waste my time showing you those. There are 3 decks of cards. So let's see. They do have different backs. So these are called the Power Struggle cards. You can see there. Let's go ahead and open those up. The other 2 decks, though, are event decks. I threw them right there so you could see them. I've kind of now moved everything up, and it's hard to, let me move that back. There we go. I think that's a good look, and you're getting a good look at the, and here I am furiously trying to rip into these. Really nice cards, very similar to the cards in Twilight Struggle. Very thick, very solid cards. These are going to wear very well. But, still, if you play this game a lot, like we've played Twilight Struggle, the cards are eventually going to kind of wear out. And I think you can buy replacement decks, but I'm not sure if you can buy replacement decks for these. So here's just a look at some of those cards. Once again, events, -2 to support loss and victory point die rolls. This is called a petition, and there's about a dozen of those. And then up in the left, they have your operations points, and then there's a capital letter. I'm not sure what the capital letter is. Maybe P for petition. Maybe that's what, L would be intellectual leader, like that card says. So that's probably what that refers to. I could be wrong. But these are once again, these are called the Power Struggle deck. Let's put that there. I don't know that I need to open both of these event card decks. They're going to be similar. They're simply, once again, divided early year, middle year, and late year. So this is the middle year deck. and the late year deck. So at the end, it kind of gets into the late year. Let me just give you an example or look at those. Really nice looking cards. Under the picture, they've kind of got some little text. Foreign TV offers glimpse of life in the West. So you can imagine that's thematic because this card's going to be played by the Democratic player, and it's going to somehow affect the feeling of the repressed under the communist regime. But it's called Foreign Television. Remove 4 communist strength points, no more than 2 per space, may not be used against Dresden. So I guess you can't use that in the city of Dresden, maybe. Here's another example of a middle year card. Central Committee reshuffle. Place 3 communist SPs in any one country where the communist still holds power. So you can see this game is very similar to Twilight Struggle. You're putting strength points into spaces, trying to vie for control of them, dueling back and forth. Here's another one, Genstruppen. -1 modifier for Democratic support checks in East Germany the rest of this turn. And let's go to look at some of the late year cards. My First Banana. The text there says, free travel allows East Germans to go shopping in the West. Some of them had never had a banana under communism. And I know we as Americans, and maybe many of you, take that kind of thing for granted, but that's an interesting and very provocative picture there as well. Remove 2 communist SPs and make 2 support checks in East Germany using the ops value of this card. The ops value is 3 there at the top. So there you get a good look at those cards. I'm going to go ahead and open the other one just because those were kind of interesting to look at. Sorry, police officer drove by. I hope they're not out looking for me. Yeah, these are early year cards. I think that bleed into the middle year. So let me just give you a look at this one. Early year, legacy of martial law. Replace 1 Democratic SP in Poland with a communist SP and make a support check in Poland using the ops value of this card. So yeah, a lot of different types of cards. They use great historical pictures. I think they look really good. That's pretty much all that's in the box. When you do these card-driven games, there's not necessarily a ton of components, but it is a nice-looking game. I think the color choices are very good. I think it looks great. Once again, I'm very, very excited. Show you the box cover there that I thought was so nice. Very excited to play this game. We played Imperial Struggle twice over the past, I think, month. And frankly, I wish we had more time to play it. But man, we have such a good time with those types of games. Back and forth, tug of war. You undo what I've just done and I undo what you've just done. And it really is the first player to blink. That is who wins. So anyway, thanks for watching. Great second printing, reproduction of this, I think, classic game. Very excited to get this one to the table. Hopefully we'll get the rules read and get it to the table here in the next month. But we do have 3 or 4 other games that we need to play specifically from GMT. And I think we probably have 5 or 6 or 7 or 20 other games in the wings that need to be played as well. So thanks for watching. I've been Grant for the Player's Aid.